Hey guys, it's Mrs. Elm. I'm going to do a little read aloud on butterflies today and the Great Migration. So this is called Butterflies, and it's with National Geographic Kids, and I have this book at home. I got it from school before we left, so I thought I would read a little bit today for an extra read aloud. So since I've been teaching the writing lessons, I want you to pay attention to some of the things that this author does to make this book really interesting, or maybe something that she does that's a little different that maybe you could try in your books. So we have a table of contents here. So you can kind of take a look at the chapters. See if you think they're in order from easiest to hardest. And the first chapter is On the Move. So let's notice from the pictures first. So we have some labels. Here are monarch butterflies. And then up top we have, it's called the wildebeest. Those are not butterflies. So I'm wondering, like, what do those have in common with butterflies? And then here on the bottom, red crabs. And then we have an important word, migration and mate. Migration means from moving from one place to another to find food or a mate. And a mate means either a male or female in a pair, so they can have a baby. When animals travel from one region or habitat to another, it's called migration. Animals migrate in search of food or a mate. Migration helps animals survive on Earth. Many animals migrate. The monarch butterfly is one of them. So I'm thinking that this page is about these three living creatures that all migrate to either find food or to find a mate. Amazing monarchs. So let's look at that beautiful photograph. So we're learning about what monarchs look like, what colors they have. And then we have the globe here with a bunch of like round and around and around. So let's see what that means, what that's all about. What insect is black and orange and flies the farthest of any on Earth? You guessed it, a monarch butterfly. So let's think about what we learned there. It's black and orange, but it flies the farthest of any other insect on the Earth. Monarch butterflies migrate 2,000 to 3,000 miles. They travel to the forests of Mexico, from the United States and Canada, and back every year. Since butterflies are so small, a mile is much farther for them than for people. A butterfly's 2,800-mile trip is like a person traveling 275,000 miles. That's like walking around the Earth 11 times. So if we were to walk around the Earth 11 times, that's the same as a butterfly's 2,800-mile trip. You want to see? You can sit up here if you want to. Mighty big trip. So this chapter is called A Mighty Big Trip, and we have a giant map. So I like how this author did this page or this chapter because it's not a lot of words. It's more of a map. So this is this is our country, okay, right here, and this is our continent. This is where we live in Georgia, right about right there. Two monarch populations. The western population migrates along the Pacific coast of the United States. The eastern population migrates east of the Rocky Mountains in the United States and Canada, all the way to Mexico. This book is about the eastern population. So these arrows show us like where some of the butterflies migrate. Monarch caterpillars get oxygen through holes in the sides of their bodies. Wow. So we get oxygen through our nose and our mouth, right? Where do we get oxygen from? What gives us oxygen? Trees. And so we breathe in our oxygen through our nose and our mouth. Caterpillars get their oxygen. They don't breathe it through their nose and their mouth. They get it through little holes in their bodies. Isn't that cool? So it makes me wonder, I wonder if they even have like a nose. They have to have a mouth, right, because they have to eat. So this is a long way. Think about this butterfly. It goes all the way to the top of our country. That's a long trip with their little wings. Okay, now this picture, it's kind of hard to see, but these are all trees, and those are not leaves on the tree. They're actually tons and tons of butterflies. You see, those aren't leaves. Those are really butterflies. In the winter, In the Oyamel forest of Mexico, this is in Mexico, clusters of butterflies make the trees look orange. There are so many butterflies, they could cover 11 football fields. Wow. Here the monarchs rest and they wait for spring. So they take a break in the winter and they rest. And when spring comes, they fly off. Wow. Let's see. Look at all these monarch butterflies. So it's kind of hard to see. That is a ton of butterflies. This looks like a bunch of dots. In the spring, swarms of newly awakened monarchs cover the trees and fly through the air. Millions of monarchs are ready to leave Mexico. Wow, wouldn't you love to see that? Millions of butterflies going to Mexico. So we learned a little about what they do in the winter. Like they just hang out on the trees and they rest and they sleep. But I wonder if they just sleep the whole time. Like, do they require food? So it makes me wonder, what do they do during winter? How do they prepare? Like I know that bears prepare for the winter by gathering food. Squirrels gather food in the spring and in the fall and gather food for them to store for winter so they don't get hungry. So I wonder what monarch butterflies do. It makes me wonder. This chapter is called Need to Lead. And there it says wing word, insect, behavior that animals are born, instinct, behavior that animals are born knowing how to do. So like even humans have instincts, like we are born knowing how to do things already, like our moms and our dads don't have to teach us. So are butterflies. Let's see what butterflies are born knowing what to do. The female monarchs lead the butterflies north from Mexico. Their parents cannot guide them. They died soon after the eggs were laid. How do these butterflies know where to go? The monarchs know where to go by instinct. Sunlight signals them to migrate. Scientists believe that sunlight also helps guide them. That reminds me of the puffins that we read about in the other Read Aloud. It reminds me of baby turtles. Those two are similar because they know where to go because of the moonlight. Monarchs know where to go because of the sunlight. That's interesting. So they're kind of similar to the puffins and the turtles, but they're also a little different. This chapter, it's our last chapter for today. It's called It Takes the Whole Family, and it's a pretty long chapter. It takes the whole family. So there's a bunch of butterflies flying around in this photograph. And the wing word here is generation. It takes time for a living thing to grow up and reproduce. So like generation is like great-grandma, grandma, mom, you, okay? Each year, the monarch's migration takes several generations. 3 or 4 generations complete the trip north. Okay, 3 or 4 generations. It's like you, your parents, their parents, your great-grandparents. But only 1 generation makes the return trip south. That means that if you started the journey, your great-great-grandchildren would finish it. How does it work? Okay, so we have a map here. So we're going to start in Mexico, and we're going to learn how they get all the way to the top of the country. The first 3 or 4 generations live 2 to 6 weeks as adult butterflies. During the spring, the first generation hatches in the south. So the first generation hatches here, comes out of the egg. They fly north as far as they can. So they hatch out of their eggs, they get to be grown-ups, and they fly as far as they can, about right there. Then they lay their eggs here and die. Kind of sad. The second generation continues the journey. So they fly as far as they can, they stop, they lay eggs, and then they die. The third generation does the same thing. They stop, go as far as they can, lay their eggs, and they die. And then the fourth generation does the same thing, and they are finally at the north spot where they need to be. And they hatch through the spring and the summer, and then they finish their journey all the way to north. So this is like a fun fact. It's weird but true. Adults appear to have 4 legs, but really they have 6. Their 2 front legs are small. They are curled up and they are hard to see. At the end of the summer, a special super generation hatches. These butterflies live 6 to 9 months. much longer than the other generations before it. In the fall, when it gets colder in the north, the monarchs fly south. They fly all the way back to the enamel forest in Mexico, and it takes about 2 months. It is a long and dangerous journey. So these butterflies don't live very long. They don't go very far. But after these eggs hatch and it gets cold up there, these butterflies are like super crazy strong, and they can fly all the way back down to Mexico where it's warm. Wow. That's so cool. But I wonder, like, what makes them extra strong? I wonder if, like, is it easier going south? Is it harder going north? What makes them live so much longer? And I noticed that on the last sentence it's a dangerous journey, but it makes me wonder, what is so dangerous about the journey? Like, what is it? Animals that want to eat the butterflies? Is it the weather? Oh, I took a peek at the next page, and it's called Danger. I'll give you a little sneak peek. So I will continue reading this book to you another time. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about butterflies.